If you or someone you know has diabetes, you may have built up an extra supply of test strips and lancets. That's where we come in. We'll buy the supplies that you don't need and resell them to those in need to prevent waste. Help us make diabetes management more affordable. Visit us at teststripswithaz.com.
All right, we have Derrick Krantz on the show, back in action in a little over 2 weeks from right now, August 31st in Shenzhen, China. He takes on Kenan Song. D-Rock is here. How are you, man?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, and thank you for doing this. When will you and your team head to China for this one? Because obviously it's a bit of a time change over there. I think it's 12 hours different from Eastern Standard Time. Are you going to head over there a little early to kind of get acclimated to everything?
Yeah, we're going to fly out this Saturday before, so I have a whole week.
That's good. That's a smart way to do it. Have you been to China before?
No. I've never been on a plane that long in my life.
Are you excited to do that? Because a lot of fighters, when they get into the UFC, one of the things that they talk about is, oh, I can't wait to travel the world and see all these different places because, you know, the UFC obviously offers that opportunity with the platform that they have. Are you excited are you one of those folks that wants to travel the world and visit all these different places?
Yeah, absolutely. I've always wanted to visit other places. It's the trips that I'm not very fond of.
What's the longest plane ride you've ever had up until this one, obviously?
Like 4 hours.
What does one do? What are you going to bring with you? You're going to bring like a bunch of movies with you? How are you going to get through that huge flight? And how long is the flight?
I want to say it's a straight shot from Dallas to Beijing, and it's like 14 and a half hours.
That's like 4 times the amount of flight time that you've experienced.
Yeah. It's all a new experience for sure.
Yeah, it's a lot of time on an airplane, but a less amount of time of an airplane ride was when you made your trip to Rochester, New York for your UFC debut, and you took on Vicente Luque, and the fight didn't go your way, but you started off that fight in a big way. You opened up a lot of eyes. You hurt him right off the bat, and he was able to weather the storm and get the finish, but obviously not the way you drew it up, I'm sure. But what did you take away from that experience, your UFC debut?
I didn't get the win that night, but I felt pretty confident. I felt like if I was 100%, Luque would have never made it off the ground or out of that first round. But, things happen the way they do. And, it really just solidified, I guess you could say, I can't think of the word. Oh, well, it really made me feel like that's where I was supposed to be.
You obviously weren't happy with the stoppage, and I know hindsight can be a wacky thing, and you're looking ahead to August 31st, but do you feel like you still have a little bone to pick with Mr. Dan Miragliotta?
No, he's in there doing his job. Believe it or not, I was spent by that point. My body was shutting down. My legs were wobbly. My arms were cramping up. It was just, I didn't feel 100%, and man, it turned out the way it did. All I can do is come back, be ready even more this time. Man, I had a good long camp for this fight, and my weight's on point and my cardio's there. I want to say I'm more ready than I've ever been for a fight. So it's going to be a good showing out in China.
Now you get Kenan Song, and with that, like you just said, you get a full fight camp for this one. How has the camp been going, especially when you don't have to jump in the octagon on super short notice like the last time?
Yeah, it's going really good. One of the things, when I took that fight against Luque, I was 197 pounds, the day I took the fight, and it was 5 days notice. I had to cut 27 pounds. Right now I'm walking around about 84, 83 sometimes in the morning. So my weight is on point. I won't have a big hard weight cut. So all my muscles and my energy should still be there. And I should be able to take a better punch if I hydrate correctly.
Was that the most amount of weight you've had to cut in that short of time frame leading into a fight before?
Yes, absolutely. That was I thought I knew what I got myself into, but it was a new experience.
especially with what the UFC does and that machine that they have. Because once you get to where you need to go preparing for a fight, they're pulling you in all sorts of different directions. You got media days and all that other stuff. How difficult was that to not only have to cut that amount of weight, but to kind of fulfill all those other obligations that you had to take care of as well?
Oh, yeah. Well, we got it all crammed in one day. We did it all in one day. So it was as soon as I got out there to New York, it was just busy. And then I went right to weight cutting, and then woke up the next morning and went to go make weight.
Well, that's an interesting start to your UFC career. But moving ahead to August 31st, you get Kenan. He's 2-1 in the UFC. His last fight, he lost a unanimous decision to Alex Morano, and he won his UFC debut in just 15 seconds. He's 29 years old, and you definitely have him in the cage time experience department. But how do you like the matchup from a stylistic perspective?
I think it's pretty well. He's obviously tough. He could take a good punch. He's hard to put away. I'm not sure how great his jiu-jitsu is, but I know his submission. He's had some submissions for victories. He's an all-around good fighter. I would probably say just about everybody is in the UFC. So I just need to go out there and do what I'm trained to do, and that's put him away.
Are you the type of guy who watches film, watches old fights, or do you just really focus on what you're going to do, or is it just a combination of the two?
Yeah, of course I do both. I'm a big I watch a lot of videos. Sometimes you can find things, some telegraphs or some tendencies that they like to do, kind of get the fill out on film. So he's not a complete stranger when we get in that octagon.
How do you see this all going down on August 31st? How do you see yourself getting that elusive first win in the UFC?
Man, I would say, he's tough. He could take a good punch, but I'm gonna be looking for a finish. And you know what? If it doesn't come, he's gonna have a hard 3 rounds. I promise.
You touched on it earlier. The welterweight division in the UFC is just ridiculous right now. Like, finding fights against top-notch competition is not going to be a difficult task for you, to say the least, moving forward. To be a part of this division, it's the best it's ever been, in my opinion. How excited does that make you to be able to test yourself against these guys?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I'm ready to show everybody else, in that weight division, that there's somebody else they need to look out for. I'm coming up and trying to, make a name for myself. Right now, I'm a fighter in the UFC. I get a couple more fights, get some more fans, then I'll be a UFC fighter.
If all goes well on August 31st, and I know you don't want to look too far down the line because you got a fight coming up in a couple weeks, but do you want to try to get another one in this year? Are there some folks in mind that you're excited for the challenge to mix it up with, that you have your eye on?
Man, I'm kind of torn. Like, I would love to fight again this year, but I also don't want to miss out on hunting season. So yes. I just I got to pray about it.
I see some of the remnants of your hunting career sitting on the wall behind you. How often do you like to get out there once hunting season goes? Are you out there like all the time, every day, as much as possible?
About as much as I can.
And what do you normally hunt?
White-tailed deer, sometimes duck, waterfowl.
What do you enjoy the most about it?
I like the peace and calmness about hunting, and just being away from everybody, being out in the wilderness. And I don't know, it's like that you have that. I believe every man has that instinct to hunt and kill and eat what you kill. And man, my freezer's drying up, and I'm ready to put some more meat in there.
When is what's the time frame of hunting season down there?
No, it's like October to late November. It's like 2 months.
Oh, so you get some time in there. So yes, you want to enjoy that, but if a fight comes along, you're probably going to take it and cut that short. Is that accurate?
That's exactly what's going to happen.
as we record, UFC 241 is coming up tomorrow night in Anaheim. It's the biggest card of the year. All the fighters made weight, which is great, so we're good to go. What fights are you looking forward to watching the most tomorrow night?
Oh man, there's a lot of good fights. Forgive me if I can't pronounce their names right, but I know I'm excited to watch that Romero fight.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that other guy, I can't remember his name, but
Paulo Costa.
Paulo Costa, that's what it is. That guy looks like a stud. And of course, Stipe and DC. I mean, that's one to watch. I would say probably those two fights are the ones I'm looking forward to.
And Nate's coming back. I mean, who knows what's going to happen with that guy?
Yeah, man, he's wild. I don't know about that guy.
What? I mean, did you watch his open workout when he started sparking up there? I mean, he says it's CBD, but that's classic Nate.
Yeah. I mean, to each his own. I mean, he does what he does, but man, he's got kids that look up to him. I don't know how he does it.
I can dig that. Derrick Krantz joining the program, getting ready to fight Kenan Song in a little over 2 weeks in Shenzhen, China. Thank you for the time, Derrick. Let the folks know where they can follow along on this journey with you via social media. Any shout-outs, anything else you want to get off your chest, the floor is yours, my man.
All right. Yeah, you can follow me on Facebook on my fan page, Derrick D-Rock Krantz. Twitter, I believe it's D-Rock MMA or D-Rock Krantz MMA. And then same on Instagram. I also want to thank all my sponsors. They've been a big help, and man, I'm just ready to go and put on a show for everybody.
Well, all the best to you, Derrick, in China, in the fight, and come back relatively unscathed, and you can enjoy all the hunting season and get ready for the next one.
Absolutely.